This episode is brought to you by Unstoppable. Discover the inspiring true story about Anthony Robles, who defied every expectation to become a national wrestling champion in Unstoppable, a new original movie from Amazon MGM Studios and director William Goldenberg, evoking the excitement and camaraderie of classic sports dramas and thrilling wrestling matches. Unstoppable features an all-star ensemble cast, including Jarrell Jerome, Jennifer Lopez, Don Cheadle, Michael Pena, and Bobby Cannavale. Watch Unstoppable now, exclusively on Amazon Prime Video.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Build a routine with Ollie that supports your wellness needs, like getting your daily vitamins and minerals with Ollie's multi-gummies, or keeping your mood upbeat with all the vitamin D in Hello Happy. Give your gut health some support with probiotics, and wake up feeling refreshed after taking Ollie Sleep. Do wellness on your terms. Find Ollie at a Walmart or Target near you or at ollie.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You're listening to Achtung, Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to Achtung, Millwall. My name is Nick Hart. You're listening to the number one Millwall podcast, and this is the first of two editions we're doing with voicemail content as submitted by our hardy troop of contributors that watched that debacle on Saturday. I call it a debacle. It actually wasn't. It was probably 50-50 in the first half, but the second half was a complete absence of spirit, fight and leadership on the pitch at the Den. A 0-1 loss, of course, to Hull City. Now, we've got quite a lot of voicemail content for you, which will probably be fairly similar in tone and feel. So I've got a limited amount of time to produce the shows as a result of Saturday's home defeat, which does leave us staring behind over our shoulders slightly, listeners. This is one of the worrying themes that is developing themes of the season. Millwall now in 17th position after that loss versus Hull City on 30 points. The third relegation spot is occupied by Portsmouth. And just below them also Luton, both on the same points total, and Hull City now 26 points. So 4 points behind us, which is starting to worry me. I don't know about you. It's starting to get a little bit itchy and scratchy for me. A home game looming against another relegation struggler, Cardiff, on 27 points. On the back of a decent win for them over Swansea, their South Wales nemesis. On Tuesday night. So I've got a limited amount of time to produce these shows, but I've got quite a lot of content. So I'm basically going to run the voicemails that we've received back to back on this show. I will interject where there's anything that occurs to me in response to some of the messages. Some really nice content. We're going to lead off now, dear listeners, in the wake of that home loss and the poor performance that we all saw on Saturday. So to lead us off on the voice notes that have been sent to me over the weekend, we're going to start with Bill Slack. Take it away, Bill.
Hello, Nick. It's Bill Slack. My old man had a little bit of a turn just before we left today, and we decided to watch it on the telly because we watch Millwall together wherever we may be. So that's why we didn't get down there, and thank fuck we weren't down there. The temptation at this point is to start blaming people, but whether it's the old football director, the new fucking recruitment director, whether it's the old manager, the new manager, the fucking manager before that, we've been left with a squad of players who cannot fucking play football. They can't pass between each other. They can't fucking shoot. They can't cross the ball. They can't fucking defend. They can't create anything. They are turning in the most dire performances that I have seen for I do not know how many years. I said when Harris left, was quite emotional. You might remember the message. I said this squad is fucked. Without Harris getting them eating fucking raw meat before the game and tearing around like they're a bunch of fucking psychopaths, we are fucked because we haven't got the quality. They ain't eating raw meat anymore. They're not running around like fucking psychopaths, and they're being shown up for the fucking bang average squad we've got. I cannot get my head round how we've recruited so many slow, ploddy, average fucking footballers. I can't get my head around it. I'll tell you something about SA, right? I hope that 12 million quid recompenses the club for our fucking relegation, because that is exactly what's happened now. Unless we go out and spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 million pound on a couple of players that can actually fucking play football, we are going into League One. We'll have 12 million quid in the bank and we'll be playing at fucking Shrewsbury or fucking Leyton Orient. That is the direct result of us taking that fucking Palace money. It's the fucking first step along the plan, says Mr. Berylson. The first step along the plan, mate, is to make sure we don't get fucking relegated. Make sure you stop serving up this fucking shit to your loyal home support fucking week in, week out. Because whatever any of them fucking people have been doing or have done at that fucking club for this last 2 years, it has left us in this state. And it ain't fucking acceptable to get people off their fucking arses into that fucking ground every other week and fucking watch that served up. Not a single shot on target. Their keeper was making his fucking debut. We've not even tested him out. You've got players who can't cross the ball. You've got players who can't beat the first man from a fucking free kick. It is as dire as it can possibly fucking be. And I don't know how we fucking got here. I don't know how you keep recruiting these players. This new fucking plan. Bangura Williams is 20. He's playing at Tooting last season or the season before. We've got a 19, 20-year-old who's never played in the Championship before leading our fucking line. We've got Langstaff, who's scored 1 goal since he's fucking been with us. And now we've signed Connolly. God bless him. I won't fucking judge you, mate, but you look fucking 15 stone. That is our forward line. Where's the experience? Where's the guile? Where's the goals? Midfield, Denore, Saville, Mitchell. They are fucking Ray Wilkins reincarnate. Sideways, back, sideways, back, sideways, back. There's nothing going forward in that fucking team, and we are going down. And it won't be the fucking supporters' fault.
Fantastic stuff, Bill. I thought I'd lead off with your message, Bill, because clearly you're an emotional situation, aren't we all? I was really depressed on Saturday night, listeners. I've got to be honest with you. I got home, all the things I said on the previous show, I shan't repeat them, but, depressing game, cold, and then grief travelling to and from the ground. And, Bill's right. You're supposed to be there to be entertained by some measure. Now, none of us have been round the track, we've all been round the track enough times to know you don't always get served up a classic. Well, everyone knows that. Everyone understands that. And God knows at Millwall, that's in our DNA, isn't it? But you've got to expect some form of effort, input from a squad of players. That was the thing that really depressed me on Saturday. And I'm sure as this show goes along, we'll come back to some of the names that Bill's mentioned there, Connolly and Langstaff and Saville and others. There was a complete loss of spirit. That's what really bothered me. Now, I don't know what has created that, because we've had spells this season where, we weren't Brazil 1970 or Holland 1974, but we weren't looking too bad. We put together an unbeaten run that has largely left us in a position where we're still 4 points shy of the relegation zone. Thank fuck we've got that, as Bill would put it, because otherwise we really would be in the mire as it stands now. As it is, we've still got a 4 point spread. Playing Cardiff tomorrow night, but it was very difficult on Saturday to see realistically when we'd ever score, how we'd score, because there's no creativity, no shots on target. We weren't even effective in lumping it into our striker, the Serbian boy, Ivanovic, up front. Because as many will say across this show, he's lacking strength and guile and experience at this level. He may develop into something, I don't know. I personally see a touch of a player in there, a goal poacher, I suppose I'd call him, but certainly not a target man in the style of the classic one recent years, Steve Morrison. No, he hasn't got the depth and the physique and the just the sheer experience, I think, of working championship level defences. The recruitment is a very, very good point, Bill, and it's one that I'm going to come back to when I speak to Merv later on. So I'm going to have to leave you to hanging on tenterhooks on that one, listeners, because that's an area that I think is escaping our attention slightly at the moment. Bill refers to the plan, and it's a good plan to become self-sustainable. We cannot continue being, requiring the largesse of the Berylson family and their input, financial input. That's not right, and it's not fair fundamentally. But obviously, the Berylson money has underpinned us for many years, and we're trying to move towards a model where we generate and sustain our existence on development of players and selling them on at profit. I don't have a problem, far from it, with that model. I can see how, as painful as it's been to let Romain Esse go to Crystal Palace, it generates the money that we will need. And, it's a hard model because you're selling your stars and you're selling your darlings to somebody else, a rival with more money than you. So that's going to hurt. But that's the kind of hard model that actually is. It's not an easy model at all. But it's crucial that you get that recruitment and the framework to enable that to take place. Big question mark at the moment for me as whether that is in place, but I will talk to Merv about that later, so do tune into our part 2 of the show. Otherwise, no, I feel your pain, Bill. Blimey. I was there and it was cold, it was horrible, and as the game wore along, the disgruntlement around the stadium was palpable. You could hear anyone that tuned into our show that I did in the aftermath of Saturday can hear the booing. I don't particularly like booing our own players. It don't really get us anywhere. But as fans, that's the most immediate and possibly the only voice that most fans will ever have. So that's how it's that's how it's going to be. We can't beat our first man. As Adamant once said, Bill, what can you do? Very hard to see what this squad is really up to at the moment. Big thank you to Bill. Can't really match that. We've got a lot of content here, so I'm going to run the next 2 back to back. That's going to be Ben Anthony and then David Leader-Kramer. So take it away, Ben.
Hello, Nick. Hello, listeners. Ben Anthony calling in. Don't know if it's too late for the podcast, Nick, but I thought I'll send in a couple of thoughts about yesterday's game, which was painful to watch. My biggest issue was the sort of formation. We had that long run towards the end of Rowett's sort of time where we went to that back 5 formation, and it cut any creativity that we didn't have much to begin with, but it cut all the creativity. And yes, it made us sort of slightly defensively solid, but to be honest, we're fairly defensively solid in the back 4. And yesterday, with Scanlon coming back in, playing alongside Brian, what happened for large parts of that first half is we looked like we were playing a back 5. With Brian as a centre-back, which is a terrifying concept. And, within 20 minutes, the crowd was dead. Everyone was bored. There was no creativity in our game, and Hull weren't very good either. And I just think that was my big issue, was the formation and the tactics were woeful. I know we're lacking in players, but there's got to be something being done on that training pitch to sort of promote attacking play and promote forward ideas. And is anyone practicing shooting? Because fuck me, we cannot hit a ball and have it go on target. It's painful to watch at the moment. No one's capable of having a shot. No one seems capable of taking a set piece or putting a decent ball in. They need serious work on the training pitch. And it's starting to look like some of the players, we need to go back to like telling them what a pitch is and what a ball is, and the basics of how to kick a ball and play football. It was, I think, bordering on unprofessional yesterday. I just thought it was that bad. We've got obviously a lot of injuries, but when don't we at the moment? I think there's some, there's some concerns around the sort of fitness of this squad. And we need to get some players back, but we're going to have to get some emergency forward players in, I think, because we're so lacking up front. I think Ivanovic is trying, and he's young and still learning his game, so I don't think you can put too much blame on him. I think Langstaff is a bit of a disaster signing, to be honest. He's just not good enough. And we could probably do with cutting ties, but we haven't got any replacement at the moment. We've sold Bradshaw, who hasn't contributed this season, replaced him with Connolly, who's scored 1 goal all season. And he played on the left wing when he came on. So yeah, we're desperately in need of some forward line. And yeah, we need to do something, because this run of, I think it's 1 win in 12, it's pretty shocking, and we are, starting to wobble down to that bottom part of the table. I don't think, I'm still not that concerned about relegation at the moment, but we are at that point where we could if we go on a bad run or continue this bad run, we could be in trouble. It's still early enough to turn it around and have a positive end to the season, but something's got to be done in January. And I think a couple of players, they need to sort of consider whether they have a place in this squad and in this club. All right. For some reason, I'm considering going on Tuesday. Come on, you Lions.
Hi, Nick. It's David Liederkramer here, full of misery on a grey, cold January Sunday morning. Not in any way helped by a depressing defeat against a very average Hull City side yesterday. First half was moderately entertaining in the sense that there were a couple of chances, but nothing to speak of. Jensen made a good save, I thought, after 10 minutes. But we just, in the second half, after we went a goal down to a very fortuitous, from Hull's point of view, own goal by Cooper, we just showed nothing. And I can't remember a single opportunity that we had in the second half where we threatened their goal, which is saying something. I think what this team is really crying out for is a big man up front, not because that's the way we should play going forward, but that's what I think will help us during this period till the end of the season. Coburn would be ideal, but he is too injury prone, and we were told this by the Middlesbrough fans before he came. Good player when he plays, but he's liable to break down, and I think we do need to bring in big number 9 so that we can at least sling the ball into him and get some chance creation. Ivanovic, as Alex Neil correctly said, is not that sort of player. Certainly not yet. He might be, but not yet. He's simply not got the skill or the size to do that, in my view. Yes, it's not very creative if we do it that way, but it does play to the strengths of this particular team. And my strategy for the team at the moment would be to get us across the line, to save ourselves in this division for this season, regroup in the summer with a bit of a clear out, and allow Alex Neil to hopefully work his magic. Other than that, it's a pretty depressing situation, and I am quite worried about relegation, because I can see that we're only 4 points clear and we just simply haven't been winning. Hopefully we'll put that right, but Cardiff won 3-0 on yesterday, and they're in good form, so we're going to have our work cut out. Anyway, come on, you Lions.
Painful viewing, says Ben. Unprofessional. which I would agree with. David says that we showed nothing against a very, very average Hull City side. I would agree with that. I'm sure all you listeners out there would agree with both of those viewpoints. You're going to hear it again and again in these voice notes. Yeah, survival, David. Survival in the Championship. It's got to be essential. If we're so focused on the balance sheet, which we kind of have to be, sadly, in the modern world, the cost of relegation is huge. I know that we'll have someone put on X the other day that we'll have the biggest budget with £12 million worth of Romain essay. We'll have the biggest budget in League One. I suppose Birmingham would argue that a big budget in League One can buy you straight back into the Championship. It's a bit of a high risk strategy. I can't believe that's the plan. Deliberately, clear the decks and start again in League One. That's often been a thing that people have said in the past. I've read it loads on places like the House of Fun in the past and X. But why don't if we take a relegation, that somehow we can have like a dose of liver salts go through you and promote inner cleanliness and start again. I don't buy that at all. You're better off in the higher income bracket that is the Championship, because we want to get into the ultimate high income bracket, which is the Premier League, if that can ever be achieved under this model. Certainly sustainability, wages go down, I suppose. So there's an argument that economically you might function, but then the losses far outweigh the gains. The crowds are lower, everything. So yeah, confused formation, I think Ben said as well. I must admit, injuries are clearly blighting our squad at the moment, but I was a bit unsettled by the idea of Joe Bryan on the left. And then I think, as Ben said, playing almost as a central defender, none of which I don't know what he is cut out for, but he's certainly not cut out for that role. So a confused formation. I think Alex Neil would answer that we've got to get goals, and he's trying to find a formula that gets chance creation going. But it certainly wasn't that 11 nor that formation on Saturday. Unprofessional, I'm going to use that word again by Ben. The loss of spirit is something that I can't get my head past. This is the same squad of players that beat Leeds and beat Burnley just a couple of months ago, on big Millwall nights at home under the floodlights, big time occasions, and they found plenty of spirit for that, and that seems to have gone down the River Thames. So something is behind that, listeners. We're going to take an advertising break now, and we'll return to similar themes, no doubt, with the rest of the voicemails after the break.
This episode is brought to you by Love Hurts. Kiwi Kwan has had quite a career, from childhood roles in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and The Goonies to a recent Academy Award win for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But now Ki finally stars as a leading man in the film Love Hurts. Love Hurts is the perfect date night movie with its mix of over-the-top action, comedy, and a ton of heart. Love Hurts, only at theaters February 7th.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Go to Blinds.com for 40% off site-wide. Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hey Atlanta, Apple is open for small business. That's right. We're here to make starting and running your business simpler. With privacy and security built in on all devices, it's easy for you to protect your customers' data. And if you need hardware or software support, you'll get advice from business experts at no cost whatsoever. So you can focus more on the soup du jour and less on, the other stuff. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/small business or visit an Apple store to learn more.
Achtung, Millwall.
Nick Hart, Bobby T here at work, and I really thanks for everything and all that. I'll keep it short and sweet. Fucking joke, embarrassing. 1-0 to Hull City. We are 5 points off relegation. I didn't go today. You probably did go, Nick Hart, and the old Achtung Millwall. I'm going Cardiff, Portsmouth. We are in shit. We're in dire trouble. Bye for now.
Hi Nick, hi listeners, John Rankin here on that dreadful 1-0 home defeat against Hull, who were, you know, not a fantastic side themselves, but one of the greatest coaches and footballers and brains of football. Johan Cruyff said, when you've got the ball, you got to make the pitch big, and when you haven't got the ball, you got to make the pitch small. And we did exactly the opposite today. I was watching it. When we had the ball, we tended to get as many men around the ball, heading it to each other as possible. And then when we didn't have the ball, we left acres of space for Hull to exploit. It was dreadful. The crowd was very restless where I was sitting, and I think it was all over the den. We had absolutely nothing going on. We had no width to our play. They stuck Connolly out when he came on. He's not a winger. You know, he can't take the ball to the byline and cross it in. We've only got Femi Aziz and Imaku and Essay that can do that, and Essay's gone, and Femi Aziz is injured. And it really showed today. I mean, Duncan Watmore was, I don't know what's happened to him. He was very lightweight, pushed off the ball a few times. The Serb's a bit of an enigma for me. I was initially very positive on him when he scored his first couple of goals, but the jury's gone back out for me on him. I don't quite know where he's at and what he's doing. I'm not sure whether we've been sold a bit of a pup here for £3 million, or whether he's going to do something really fantastic. The jury's gone out for me on the big Serb, I got to say, on today's showing, because he's not a target man, but he wasn't really showing for the ball and holding the ball up. And, if you look at a player like Duncan Ferguson, for instance, drop deep, pass the ball out and then go and run in the box and get on the end of it. And I didn't really see what he was offering. I really hope for his sake and our sake it comes good with him. I think our midfield is woeful at the moment. Don't know what George Honeyman was doing, where he was playing, what he was supposed to be doing. And as for George Saville and Casper Denor, it's about winning that second. It's about breaking the ball up when you haven't got it in the midfield, and then retaining possession and moving the ball forward, right? So as a midfielder, you receive the ball with your back to the opposition goal, right? You turn, you make space, and you move the ball forward. Only when you can't do that do you look at dropping the ball back and then recycling. But with Casper Denor and George Saville, it's kind of, they drop deep, they get the ball off Jake Cooper or Japhet Tanganga, and then they panic and just pass the ball back to Japhet Tanganga or Jake Cooper or another defender. I don't know what they're supposed to be doing. And I don't think they know what they're supposed to be doing. I think Alex Neil's got to pull his finger out here and just get them sorted out, playing some simple football, play the ball on the grass, 2 feet, right? Now, the only element of positivity which came from that shocking display was Race Bangura Williams. When he came on, he had composure on the ball. He didn't panic. He had his head up and he looked round and he played some lovely passes, forward passes to the feet of his teammates in a bit of space. It can be done. And I just think we need a complete refresh. We need new players. I don't really know where you go from here, to be honest with you. Very dismal. There's no real, no real sort of straws to clutch onto here. That's what I'm looking for. I'm lost for words. I looked at Alex Neil's post-match video, and yes, we weren't ripped apart, but we didn't like ripping anyone else apart either. It was a dreadful advertisement for football. The boy Connolly, he's obviously got a little bit of composure and a little bit of quality on the ball, and I saw the goal he scored against us from Sunderland, and he looks really good, but why play him out on the wing? I can't get my head round what's going on with the coaching here, the organisation, how the team's set up. I can't understand it. And I know it's a lack of personnel, but you've got Joe Bryan and Callum Scanlon, who are 2 left backs, right, playing on the left. What's all that about? Why not bring Danny Mack on? He can play at left back and he's a much better defender than Joe Bryan. So I don't know what's going on, really. I'm lost for words. So we're up for a bit more pain and punishment on Tuesday night. Come on, you Lions.
Nick Hart, Bobby T, no passion, no guts, no passion, no fight, nothing. Cooper has to go now. He has to go now. Too old. Bye for now, Bobby T. I'm fucking fuming.
Hello, Nick. It's Barnsley here. I thought I'd send you a little message after that pile of shit. Yeah, it was awful. Absolutely awful. We played like we were strangers. No one knew what to do. They couldn't pass straight. They were absolutely shocking. And after the midweek game when we played really well, I know we're up against Dagenham and Redbridge, but we thought, we could bring some momentum into that team, but we just didn't see it, did we? It was like they were strangers. It was absolutely awful. Some players that come out with a little bit of credit would be Jensen and Saville for me. And the new fellow who come on, the young lad, he looked like he wanted it, but just the basics, they just couldn't do it. It was the crossing. We have no one who's any good at dead ball situations and puts in a decent cross. We had one chance in the first half with a Serbi. He had the header, comfortably saved. But, Jensen kept us in that first half with a great block, and that was really it. The second half, we thought, we're obviously attacking our favourite end. We thought we'd come out and really have a go, but just didn't see it, did we? It was so poor. We've got a lot of rebuilding to do, and unfortunately, we've got so many similar players in similar positions that, we desperately need a number 10. Someone who can link the forwards, because they're feeding off scraps. Absolutely nothing. And I don't really blame them. The Serbian was up on his own against two huge centre-halves. And he just didn't get any change out of him, did he? Bless him. And I thought Scanlon done okay. But you can tell he's more of a defender than he is going forward, because every time he had the ball, he had no one to hit and kept turning back to Brian. And that's not good enough. We need some pace in that team. And, you take a sneeze out, as I call him. And obviously the man who's gone now, Paul Essay, we've got no ability in that team to take a player on, and a little bit of flair, because we are just so manual and like robots, aren't we? And we're just hitting long balls to a fella who's who's surrounded by these big centre halves. What's the point? We're not getting anything out of them. They were looking to switch plays all the time, and the balls were going out of play. And and unfortunately, the subs come on, they ain't going to change it, because we know about this club, how important our support is. And if you get our support on our side and start on the front foot, get that momentum, get the team behind, get the fans behind you, teams will crumble. But there was nothing today to get anything up for it. The fans were quiet, very, very quiet. And I had some Danish fellas sitting next to me, and they're like, "Oh, we come down for the atmosphere." And I was going, "Hopefully it'll be good." After 10 minutes, mate, I said, "You might as well go home." Poor fella. But yeah, it's very disappointing. Unfortunately, he's got a big, big job now to try and get some players in, because what we've got at the moment just ain't good enough. They run, Honeyman runs, what more runs, bless him. He runs and he does care, but he hasn't got that quality. He hasn't got that quality to, when he does run, he's too knackered, to even take a shot, bless him. But yeah, very, very, very disappointed after today. And Neil's got a massive job to get the fans back on his side, because, it's early days and they're booing. And I don't think it's not him, but it's just basic football. Get the ball, control it, move it quick. And we don't move it quick. We are too slow. And, we have a chance to break. We are so slow. And if their defenders, their midfielders can cover back, because we move the ball so slowly. And we need players to get in that team that can move the ball quick, find those gaps in behind, because we have not got anyone to open up defences. And we are going to struggle. Are we going down? I think they're worse teams, but it's going to be a long, hard few months. Obviously, the French guy didn't play today, but he looks tall. The other guy looks, without being rude, looks like a bigger version of Grealish. But like, he come into a difficult game, and didn't really have too much on his side today. But very disappointing. I think most of your calls are going to be like this tonight. But we go again. But yeah, very, very, very disappointed. Well, we've got some money in the pocket now. Hopefully we'll have to use it because we're going to need to. Anyway, mate, take care. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Barnesy. Thank you, John, before him. And thank you to Bobby T, who I'm interspersing his streams of consciousness across the whole show, listeners. I like the quote, John, that anyone that can quote Johan Cruyff is fine by me. Make the pitch big and small, depending whether you've got the ball or not. I don't know that we've got the players to do either, listeners, at the moment. I did see a great quote by Charlie Isle of Dogs. I think I mentioned it in the other show about how we look like infants playing football in the playground, everyone around the ball and everyone shouting and running around, but with no purpose. The crowd was getting restless, wasn't it? You can hear it on my live stream of consciousness that I do. I don't blame people, to be honest. It was one of those games, we'll all come back, of course we will, but it does leave you wondering why the bloody hell you bothered to leave the warmth of your own home to go and lug across town on not an easy travelling day for anyone, public or car, whatever way you're going to get to the ground. To watch that. Difficult. Posing some good questions, both. I mean, Barnesy, Passing Strangers, I've written down. That was an Ultravox song. Passing Strangers. So the strangers in the passing, I suppose. The need for a number 10, a link man to hold the ball, take it forward, lay off and bring in the forwards. I mean, that's been something we've talked about all season. I suppose they're expensive to get good ones, aren't they? And the problem with the plan, the project, or the sustainability model, whatever fancy terms you want to stick on it, is it's a long-term plan. And I remember someone, I can't remember if it was an economist, someone said that the great thing is in life is you live in the short term, like in the now, and you don't live in the long term or the medium term. But you do have to plan for it nevertheless. So, we've got the plans in place for a medium to long term way forwards, and I think upwards if we can get this model running. But you live in the short term. First job, I think a few of the contributors, I think Barnesy said it, I think John and others have said it, maybe John too. But if you get relegated, then you can throw your model and your plan out the window, can't you? Because life in League One is a lot more reduced and diminished than it is in the Championship. I don't know. I mean, you can pick names, Ivanovic, Langstaff. The wisdom of both of them, I suppose, is unfolding before our eyes. I do rather think that Langstaff is a bit out of his depth. He can't hit a barn door at the moment, can he? Now that's hard on the boy because obviously he's used to scoring goals at the level he was at, National League, and I think he was in League Two. But it's a lot different at that point. You're coming up against harder edged and, dare I say, even more sophisticated defenders in the Championship. And if you can't get, if you're not at that level, and I don't know that he is, bless the boy, he clearly is a decent player, decent person, I think. But it's a different level, and I just think he's not there. I think he was worth a punt, actually, because I think for a strange world we live in now where you can say this, but for 700,000 that we paid for him, it was a gamble probably worth taking because that's quite small money, strange as it is, because that was once the levels of the record signings for our club, but now we deal in six figures, don't we? Seven figures rather, millions. At that level is probably worth a go, but I don't know that it's working out, and I don't know that it's fair on him to keep sending him out either as a starter or as a substitute at some point, where he wanders around looking lost, and when he does get the chance, he snatches at it. So I'm not sure whether the club have an idea to move him along, loan him out, whatever. I don't know. He does look a bit lost out there. We've covered the Ivanovic, the Serb. I don't like that expression. Ivanovic, Eva. He's got a goal scoring instinct, but he just looks lightweight and he doesn't have the nous. We've said this before. I'm saying it again. I think we're probably going to go around the same circles here, listeners. Whether he was worth £3 million is another question, and I will come back to that later with Merv. So do tune in for the third part in this epic coverage of Millwall 0, Hull City 1. Does the game warrant that amount of coverage? Don't know. That's what you're going to get, listeners. Dismal was John's word, and I think dismal is a great way to leave it there. We're going to be playing another Bobby T message now, and then advertising break, and then we'll be back after that with Glyn Horner. Stay tuned.
Nick Hart, Bobby T here. One more thing. Now on Tuesday, Cardiff at home, those fucking sheepshaggers, that's a cup final. We lose that, we are fucking fucked. Sorry for my language. Didn't go today. Thank God I didn't go today. No, I shot on target, Nick. Bye for now, Bobby T. All right, Nick Hart, Bobby T. I'll be frank. 3 games to save our season. Cardiff, Luton and Pompey. 3 games. If not, we are banging trouble. Bye for now, Bobby T.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Achtung, Millwall.
Hi Nick, Glenn here. Yesterday's game, what a non-event. I think we could have been playing for another 3 days and we wouldn't have scored a goal. So clearly, Alex Neil's got a lot of work to do to try and find a way to make us more potent up front. I think anyone who's criticising him right now or doubting him is really jumping the gun. I mean, the guy's really been in the door 5 minutes. He's dealing with a situation that has been, almost a decade in the making. Some of the players that have been with us for quite a number of years now. He's not going to replace that squad overnight, so the guy needs time. To be honest with you, I think tactically he's trying new and different things, and it makes sense to me. And I still have a lot of faith in the guy. So I think people just need to get off his back. A couple of just quick observations. I actually, at one point, Jensen came out and pulled off a block save. And the thing that surprised me is just that I expected him to make that save, which I think speaks volumes about how well he's come on. Earlier in the season, I would have had no confidence in the guy. But the moment that bloke went through and Jensen came out and cut down his angles, I actually felt confident in me, which was quite surprising that he was going to make that, which wasn't an easy save. So I think that's huge credit to him. I think the obviously the forward line right now. I mean, a couple of chances and Honeyman, and I think our forward line basically just lack a bit of Langstaff is the other name. Sorry, that escaped my mind, but just lack a bit of potency up there, and I'm starting to think that Langstaff isn't really going to work out for us, which is a shame because I wanted him to, but it's looking more and more like the guy's just out of his depth. That's it. Really, I just wanted to sort of keep it really quite positive. I think Jensen really is coming on quite well. I think the defence are looking pretty good. I don't quite trust Brian yet. He still, for me, makes too many errors for a person of his experience. But, obviously a couple of interesting signings made. I thought Connolly, only on for a short time, looks pretty rapid to me. And, let's see what he can bring. All right, that's it for now. On to the next game. Come on, your lines.
Well, Barry Moon here, and the little moan. Fortunately, I couldn't make it to it late today. I didn't realise all the trains were up Waterloo East and it was all closed, so it knackered me. By the time I would have got there, it would have been well past the kickoff. So I've done me a bit of a favour. But to watch it on television is even worse. We were absolutely awful. But when are we going to get a creative midfield player in here? We've got midfield players all very similar. We didn't have a clue how to open them up. It was shocking. I don't know what's going on there in the season down there. We don't can't score a goal. I feel sorry for the forwards. Like I say, they're not scoring, but they're getting no chances. They're getting no chances at all. You know, it's just appalling. I think this fella, I don't know, he must be looking over his shoulder and think, what the hell have I taken on here? What have I taken on? It is a shocker, mind you. Anyway, that's my little moan for today. But I think we're seriously in trouble. I'm hoping we don't go down. But I'll tell you what, it is worrying me. All right, cheers, mate. Bye. Look after yourself.
Hi Nick, it's Lawrence Binney here, calling after Mill 0, Hull City 1. It was a slightly strange start to the day in the sense that we lost, or it was confirmed that we lost Roman Esse to Palace, albeit for a healthy sum, and one that, on today's evidence, needs to be wisely reinvested. Maybe a good chunk of that needs to be reinvested this month. To avoid a relegation battle, perhaps. It was quite strange. It was actually my first home game back this year. First home game under Alex Neil for me and my dad. And I think that might be the shortest turnaround from a Mill manager starting their tenure at the club and having a team booed off the pitch. Chance of shit starting well before the full-time whistle blew, actually, and several players getting absolute dog's abuse, fairly or unfairly. So what made that performance different from some of the tedium that we've been served up, well, for the past few seasons, really? First half, again, I think, lacking creativity and spark, very functional. Didn't look in a great deal of trouble aside from the one-on-one that Jensen saved, and we missed one of our own, or flubbed one of our own before we even got a chance to shoot. It looked like. So yeah, what made that performance so different from, I don't know, some of the tedious 1-0 defeat against Coventry, for example? I think what really got up everyone's backs today was the amount of players who hid. And didn't hide in terms of, not doing the running, or, put in a sort of perceived lack of effort off the ball, things that will actually get you proper dog's abuse at the den if you don't do. I think it was the cowardice that so many of those players showed, so many experienced players, maybe not the most talented players, but experienced players who just didn't want to be seen to try something and have it not work. I think culprits in particular, Joe Bryan, Duncan Watmore, George Saville, actually, who was very disappointed today when he should have been taking a hold of that game. I thought he was deservedly subbed off. Even players like Ryan Leonard, who I think kind of gets away with it sometimes because he has been so good for us defensively. But he's a senior player in that side. And yeah, I mean, he, like many others, just looked like they were pissed off that Roman Esse wasn't there. They were pissed off that that young, exciting talent couldn't bail us out. And they didn't put anything on the line. And that fucked everyone off, I think, deservedly. We know that these players are not, on the whole, of great quality. They are workmanlike. They are there to support the flair players. And we get the balance right. You absolutely can tolerate, the likes of Honeyman in there occasionally, the odd Honeyman or two. But when it's a team of Honeymans, and and they show that sort of that lack of ambition or desire to get back into the game, if that fear, I think it's you're in for a rough ride at the Den. And that's a lesson for Alex Neil to learn as well, because if you can't get these players fired up, I know they're lacking confidence, but you really need to play your way out of that, and the way you play your way out of that is by sort of venturing something. When you're depressed, you don't keep sitting around the house. You have to get out of the house, even if it feels uncomfortable. And too many players just looked like they wanted to be comfortable today. So yeah, really, really disappointing. We definitely need new players in. It's difficult at the moment, isn't it? Because you're looking at the way we're playing. You're looking at basically, aside from the centre halves, we need improving everywhere. It feels like. But I think real need for width, some pace, some creativity in midfield, and yeah, perhaps a striker as well if Coburn isn't coming back anytime soon, because Ivanovic at the moment just does not look at it, does not look ready for that role, especially in a team that is lacking confidence and won't give him service. So yeah, a disappointing, very disappointing day at the Den today. I will say though that as kind of endless as runs like this seem, they can turn around very quickly. I mean, just look at where we were last year with Joe Edwards. We ended up finishing 13th when it looked like we were doomed. So it can turn around. I don't buy into this idea that the team are spineless. They were cowardly today, but this core group of players has dragged us out of the mire before, and quite a few of them have fallen just short of the playoffs before. So I think they're a good bunch of lads, but we need to do better. Anyway, cheers, Nick, for your hard work, and come on, you Lions. Fucking Tuesday, Cardiff. Can't be asked for that, but have a season ticket, so I suppose I'm going. All right, take care. Bye.
Yes, the emotional blackmail, isn't it, Lawrence? The emotional blackmail of feeling that because you've bought a season ticket, you're under some kind of moral obligation, economic obligation, having paid money for it to go along. I'll be there, almost certainly, Tuesday night. But anyway, the core group, Joe Bryan, Duncan Watmore, Jules Saville, Ryan Leonard. Interesting words from Lawrence there. Pissed off, I think, was one of the... they look pissed off. And as you've rightly said, it's not that long since that same group of, dispirited looking players that we saw on Saturday were pulling out big performances. I'm thinking back just a couple of months to the game I mentioned already, 2 games, Burnley and Leeds, 2 big sides, major sides in our division, both dispatched in major Den fashion, big nights at the Den. We all know what we're talking about there. So how does it come to be that those players are hiding, I think is Lawrence's words. And as Barry put it before, we need a creative midfielder. Where's the vim gone? Where's the pizzazz? What's happened? That's something I want to talk about later with Mervyn. I think that quite clearly there was a loss of motivational loss, spirit, whatever word you want to use, really. On Saturday, we saw nothing, didn't we? In fact, we saw a group of players that looked like they didn't really care in that second half, particularly. That must come back to something. Team being booed off the pitch. I mean, as I think Glyn said at the start of that little sequence here, we've got to give Alex Neil a chance. And I don't think that booing was actually directed at him. He's not really had a chance to make his own mistakes yet. Whether the starting 11 was an error or not, I don't know. His options are limited with injuries at the moment, but he's not being helped when senior players look like they are not giving their 100%, and that's what we saw, especially so in that second half Saturday. But there we are. We're going around the same circles, the same mulberry bush. We're dancing around it, listeners, aren't we? I'm going to play us out now with two messages. The final one from Bobby T, and then a longer one from Matt Webb. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's contributed to the show. I do have a few other messages for my conversation with Merv later on, so stay tuned. That'll probably go out maybe this evening, possibly tomorrow, and that'll be the end of the whole city coverage. So if you're not included in this show, you're going to be in the Merv show later on. So a big thank you to everyone for contributing. Arrivederci Millwall, listeners. Bye for now.
Nick Hart, Bobby T. I've had time to think about it now, mate. I'm still at work. Didn't go. It's not Alex Neil's fault. It's not Alex Neil's fault. Simple as that. The players you've got, negative football. Honeyman, Watmore, Saville, Cooper, Mitchell obviously is one of our own. But they're all negative, slow, too old, over the hill. And it's just the Millwall players we used to have. And look, Harris got that Millwall team going. You can't blame Alex Neil. Saville is over the hill. Watmore, Honeyman, do not get me started. It's just a deadwood team. And in 2 weeks for the January money, what can you gain out of that? Right, a 6'4" guy from The Voice, or like a pop star guy, Crammer versus Chris Crammer, whatever his name is, and then £14 million for Essay, and now he's gone. And the money we're going to use it in summer. If I'm in League One next season, I love Millwall. Nick Hart, you've been Millwall for years. I remember the Stephen Reed, the Eiffels, the Paul Shaws, the Paul Moody's. Oh, for fuck's sake! Look, the rant's over. I didn't even go. I'm going to tonight, Nick Hart. I'll see you there. Bye for now. Millwall.
Morning, Nick. I thought I'd bring my voice note in first thing in the morning after, I can't even call that a footballing display yesterday. Obviously, the reason being is probably emotions get a little bit too heated after the game. And therefore, at least 24 hours later, you can actually sort of settle down and reflect a little bit better. But anyway, I'll give you my points from yesterday. There's a few. I ain't gonna lie. There's a few to take away from that performance and the game itself. Where do I start? Well, first and foremost, I mean, the lineup was a bit of an odd one. A lot of people online were saying it's a 5 at the back. Now, the pleasure of where we sit, mate, in Block 1 and in the upper tiers is that you can see the whole pitch. And what I like about sitting up in the gods is that you can see the formation, you can see the play a lot clearer than you are if you were definitely sort of like lower level. It is a lot easier to see, and it was not a 5 at the back. It was certainly a 4-2-3-1 formation with Scanlon pushing up. Now I can't confirm that I've seen Scanlon enough to warrant that he plays as an attacking left winger. But as far as I was concerned, he was always a left back. So I'll come back to the formation a little bit later, if you don't mind, mate. But one thing I would be certain, if I was Mihailo Ivanovic and you're playing that striker up front, you think, right, where's my service coming from? And you turn around and you see George Honeyman, you see Duncan Watmore, you see Scanlon, you just think, fucking hell, really? Like, I'll be on the phone to my agent more than anything else, because that was that imposed no threat. And I think there was a lot of deflated people see that team line up and just thought, Jesus, where's the goals coming from? Where's the service going to come from? And the proof was in the pudding. Into the game itself, like, it was a dull fest. It was flat. You know, we had our first shot on target after 2 minutes with the cross and the Mihailo diving header, and that was it. That literally was it. And it was just flat. It was flat. They didn't provide anything, in my opinion. We certainly didn't provide anything. And I've got to I just want to pick out some players, really. And, you know, I don't normally tend to do this, but I will do in this occasion.
And I'm going to pick someone out first that I feel needs to improve, and that's Jensen. Now, I don't care whether he can kick a ball or not. We had a good goalkeeper in Bart Bielkowski. That distribution was absolutely shocking, but everyone loved him. Jensen, for me, good shot stopper, came out and done well in that first half, coming out to the player, the 44, and blocked the shot really well. So good shot stopping. My issue is commanding the 6-yard box. You know, he's very relying on Tanganga and Cooper to win those battles at the edge of the 6-yard box. And he needs to be commanded. He's a big lad. He's a big guy. Command. That's all I want to say to him. I'm not saying he didn't not do it all the time, but he's got to do a lot more on that sort of side of things. And I really do think that if he can get his 6-yard situation, his confidence around it, awareness, and be braver, then he should be able to get better. Whether that stems back from pre-season, where he did come for a 6-yard cross and flapped it against Southampton, I don't know, because it can be a psychological barrier for goalkeepers, and therefore, you know, is that still playing in his mind? I hope not. I hope he's more professional than that. But yeah, work on the 6-yard box with him, please, Millwall. It's not been said. Well, it's not the elephant in the room. He basically, the left side of our team at the moment is absolutely shambolic. You see every attack at the moment, every goal that we've conceded lately has come down our left side. Brian and whoever is in front of him, it's just so weak. And again, it proved yesterday. Honeyman, again, I've always said along, he's not a 10. I'm sticking by that. But the problem is about him is I don't know where his best position is. Nobody knows. You can't say against Dagenham Redbridge, right wing, right side midfielder is his best position. We played fucking Dagenham, all right? We're now playing championship teams, all right? So you need to understand where is his best position, because it's certainly 8 or 10. I noticed yesterday he wanted to get involved with everything. I know it was his former club, and I know for the fact he probably wanted to put on a bit of a shift, but he gets in the way. I've noticed it. In the play, he gets in the way of our players. Our players want to try and play nice passes, and he's there. He's in the way. He's not making space. He's in the way. And it was. And I think yesterday you could see it clear as day. And my last player, and I state my claim on this, is Duncan Watmore. I don't get it. He's not. If Millwall Football Club wants to go forward, that man needs to be gone. I cannot physically say to me, if anyone can say to me now that he had a decent game, I'll be gladly to sit down with him with a coffee and discuss the pros on him. But that I cannot see a player in him. I don't see a position in him. I just think he had a little bit of a renaissance when at the beginning of the season he scored a few goals. Now, obviously, he just had a child, which is like really nice, but I really cannot. He's a League One player, 100%. You know, and we need to start looking further, like offloading him. He's a player that I would take off as an asset to get someone better in. At the moment, I understand we've got an injury list longer than your arm, but I think you could have put Bangor Williams in. The boy was on the crest of a wave, and then see how much he could have got on. Another point, mate, and I was trying to reduce this. He says subs. I don't know why he took advantage. We're 1-0 down. You took your top striker off. I really don't. I didn't understand that one. Yes, we have 3 defence. Where was Adam Mayer? Has he now picked up another knock? You know, the boy was rusty against Dagenham, and he played a good fair chunk of minutes. Give him some more. Get him rust. Remove that rust. Get him playing. So, you know, and I'm not saying, and I think some of this has to be falling on Alex Neil a little bit. All right. I know he's new, but he's got to take part of responsibility here, not just the players. Another thing is what we do now with post-essay. You know, that money's got to be reinvested into that team, 100%. You know, we've got the new lads come in, you know, and that's the thing. Alex Neil went free at the back at Preston. Is he now sort of moulding us into going free at the back, Tanganga, Cooper and the new lad? That would benefit someone like Joe Bryan and Scanlon. Would it benefit Ryan Leonard? I don't think so. I really don't. And, you know, I think that's another area that could easily be exposed if it goes down there. But we need to have a good recruitment now. We've got 2 weeks left of this window, and we need to get some players in. We need to get some recruits in and try and offload more. Open up the checkbook a little bit more, and remove some of the deadwood, because this club is unfortunately stagnated and possibly even could look over his shoulder. I don't think we will, but stats don't lie and the tables don't lie. So we have to go again on Tuesday, and hopefully we'll have a better performance. So come on, you Lions.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.